I will leave the club at the end of the season. I can understand that it's a shock for a lot of people in this moment when you hear it the first time, but obviously I can explain it, or at least try to explain it, and I love absolutely everything about this club. I love everything about the city. I love everything about our supporters. I love the team. I love the staff. I love everything. That I still take this decision probably will, or shows you that I'm convinced it's the one I have to take. It is that I'm, how can I say, that I'm running out of energy. I have no problem now. Obviously, I think I know it already for longer, that I will have to announce that at one point. But I'm absolutely fine now. But I know that I cannot do the job again and again and again and again. And after all the years we had together, and after all the time we spent together, and after all the things we went through together, the respect grew for you, the love grew for you, and the least thing I owe you is the truth. And that's the truth.
He's won a Champions League. He won the league title back in that 20 season during COVID. A two-time Premier League Manager of the Year, and just a really, really impressive record with this club. 9 seasons in the books with Jürgen Klopp, and this will be the final one. So for more on his career, we are absolutely delighted to welcome in our good friend, Jeff Shreves. Good morning, Jeff. As you can imagine, I'm a little bit sad this morning, but I can imagine that you've spoken to Jürgen Klopp many times over the years, and I just want to get your take on, number one, your reaction to this news, and also the way in which it was done. What do you make of it?
Well, first and foremost, Susanna, you sound like somebody in mourning, as though there's been a death in the family, which I can absolutely understand. If I was a Liverpool supporter, I would probably feel the same, because he has been such a fantastic manager. What an incredible emblem of the club he's been for the last 8.5 years, and he really is a force of nature. So my first reaction was one as somebody who works in the media. I was absolutely astonished that absolutely nowhere at all was there any whisper of this whatsoever, which is even more incredible when you think he said in that interview, "I told the club back in November." Now, for this news not to have got leaked out, or indeed, bring all the way forward to right now, so go through all Christmas, New Year, all of that, and then still there was no whispers around the media this week. Oh, keep an eye on Liverpool this week. Might be something big coming up. Or get yourself there for a press conference. That's staggering. Absolutely staggering. And there's no way he can have told the players. If he'd told them, it would have leaked. It would have leaked. I'm not saying players are loose-lipped, but the fact that this hasn't come out in the modern day football with all of the news outlets, social media, etc., is amazing. Amazing. Okay, then to the decision itself, and also, of course, I watched the video. I think what he's done here, and without reading too deeply, it's an adage that somebody told me. In fact, it was another footballer, Lee Dixon, when he retired from Arsenal after 600 games. I said to him, why? Why now? He said, I've always felt it's a really important thing in life, knowing when to leave a really good party. You stay too late, maybe people have had a few too many drinks, it all goes a bit downhill and people get a bit narky with each other. You go too early, you miss all the fun. So you've got to know when to leave a really good party. And I think that's exactly what Jürgen Klopp has done here. I thought he looked tired in the interview, but not because I feel he's suffering and he can't do the job right now. And he said it himself. It was a really hard decision to make, but also one of huge relief. So emotionally, this must have been really, really difficult for him as a decision to come to. I think he's done it. I think the club have done it with real class as well. And perhaps, I mean, I heard Nigel talking about what perhaps may lie behind the decision. I was thinking about Pep Guardiola. Do you remember he had that year out, didn't he? He reset, he recharged. Now, Jürgen Klopp has said, I'll never manage in England again, that's for sure, and I won't take charge of a club within another calendar year, for another year at least. He needs a rest. He needs a recharge, and I absolutely understand that. I was with a current Premier League manager recently, and we were talking about his next move, and he said to me, do you know what? I don't think people realise just how all-consuming this is. The hours you put in, it's morning, noon and night. It's not just 7 in the morning till 7 at night at the training ground. It is 24 hours a day. And you can't go anywhere without people wanting to speak to you, wanting a bit of your time. You give of yourself, you give absolutely everything. And I think Klopp did that on turbo, if you like, in the last 8.5 years. And I thought he made an awful lot of sense, everything that he said there. And there was a lot of it, there was a lot in it to admire as well.
Jeff, I think back to Jürgen Klopp's first press conference when he joined Liverpool and sort of parroting off of what Jose Mourinho would have called himself. He called himself the normal one. And I think in his time in England, I think he's left a legacy that he's anything but the normal one. Suze, I think, asked you a little bit of it, but just from your time spent with him, maybe you got a little bit more of an inclination as to who he is on a personal level. Do you think he will stay away from football? Do you think maybe after that year he won't come back? It sounds like maybe a national team, maybe the German national team for the World Cup.
Alexis, the honest answer is I don't know. And he actually alluded to this normality in the interview. He said, look, I absolutely am a normal guy. I just do a very unusual job. So it's not me that's special, it's the job that's special. And a really revealing thing as well, he said, I've never had it. He said, I want to find out, I need to know what it is to lead a normal life. Those are the words he used. So he's curious, which I think that's all, if you like, that's related to the amount of effort he puts into this job. And you're right, he can be... honestly, there will be many books written about him. But from my side, dealing with him, he's one of those guys, he always gave you fantastic quotes. He always said great things. He could be funny, he could be charming. He could equally be frosty with you. If he didn't like an angle you were taking, he would call you out, no problem whatsoever. But also, he wasn't afraid of, if he had a pop at you, you stood your ground, you went back and he actually thought, you know, that's fair. He'd say, yeah, okay, that's fair what you were saying there. So he never delivered cliches from the media point of view. So for us, from that point of view, he was superb. In terms of what he achieved on the pitch, I mean, he will go down as one of the great Premier League managers of all time. He might not necessarily have won as many trophies, of course, the likes of Ferguson, Guardiola, Wenger, Mourinho, but he will certainly be mentioned in their company for what he did in the Premier League. And as Susanna said, when he took over Liverpool, they were not in good shape. And he absolutely turned that club around. And the way he identified with the club, with its culture, with the politics of the city, they loved him from day one. And I also really liked, do you know what I really liked as well in there? Was when he said, you know, he was feeling the gas tank is starting to go down and he feels that, you know, maybe he hasn't got the energy anymore. But he said it was really important that, for me, right now, we get this team back to where it needed to be. They were going through a dip, and he didn't want to just walk away when the team wasn't doing well. I thought that was really classy as well. So I think, again, if I'm a Liverpool supporter, you'd be worried. You think, right, OK, let's look what happened when Sir Alex Ferguson left Manchester United. Arsene Wenger left Arsenal. Now, I don't think that Liverpool have the same fears, if you like, because I think there is better structure and those two managers really did control absolutely everything. But it is a big job for somebody, and these are huge shoes to fill.
Jeff, that's a bit unfair to insinuate football players in the dressing room have loose lips, mate. Come on, no better than that. On the other question,
they could use those shirts, though.
Watching that, leave me alone, bro. On the other hand, Jeff, how much of a factor do you think that when he mentioned about last year, because of how intelligent Jürgen Klopp is, he mentioned last year about the struggles, and anywhere else he knows that he would have been sacked. How much of that do you think plays a factor in him making this decision now? And then how do you think this whole decision is going to affect the Premier League title race?
Right, OK, let's address your first point. In terms of secrets staying in the dressing room, there's no way that dressing rooms are as tight as that shirt you're wearing. So that's number one. Number two, look, it's our job and it is fun speculating as well. I just think he's just been really, really honest. He's put so much into this. He's exhausted. And the fact he's got them going once again, he's got a lot of the youngsters coming through. It's the perfect time to hand over. But again, what do you do? What's the alternative, Nigel? Does he stay, wait till they go downhill and he gets sacked? Or he's not going to go on until he's 65, 70, while he's got, the energy, while he can enjoy himself, enjoy his life. It can't go on forever. It can't. Whenever this news came, it's going to be a sad day and Liverpool fans will be, disappointed he's leaving. But, it is what it is. So I think you can look too deeply to find something here. I think it is a personal stroke professional decision which he's made, putting himself and the club in the best possible place once the decision has been made. He's done it for both parties. I think he's done it at the right time. I'm looking forward to hearing him later on when he gives a full press conference, and I'll be back with your colleagues later on today to give them the reactions to that. But there's no question, this is one of the big stories in football, one of the biggest stories in football for a long, long time.
Jeff, I agree with so much of what you're saying, all of what you're saying, really. And I even think that this Liverpool team, Klopp's Liverpool team, was so good over the 9 years that they even deserved to win more titles than he actually won. It's a shame that they had to live and coexist at the same time with one of Pep Guardiola's greatest teams ever, because had it not been for that, they would have more titles and they would be one of the greatest Premier League teams that of all time. And I think it says a lot about him.
You're 100% right. I remember going to the training ground last season with Jürgen Klopp, and I told him a stat that he was unaware of, and I think it showed in the previous 5 years the total points difference between the two clubs. Honestly, I think it was something crazy, like 5 points or something. Wow. I can't remember what the actual number was, but it was, and I'm sure the statisticians will help us out here. But he was absolutely, for a start, he was gobsmacked. And then there was a kind of vindication as if to say, yeah, just my luck. At the time I'm here, there is something incredible going on down the road. And that's why they haven't, to your observation there, that's why they would have cleaned up, no question, if Manchester City didn't have the period of dominance that they have had. But they've been good for each other. They've been fantastic for us as a Premier League, because they've fought it out. It's been superb to watch the two of them go head to head. So I agree with you, but at the same time, kind of, it is what it is. Good, two great teams, two great teams. Like I said earlier, though, maybe he's looked at what Pep did, and he was around at the same age. He came to live in New York, didn't he, for a year, and got himself going again. And look what he went on to afterwards.
Yeah.
Hey, if Jürgen does that, he'll be just down the road from you, Connecticut. You can get him on regularly instead of me.
Jeff, let's move on to another city now where I'm sure the sun's shining and it's not dark clouds like in Merseyside. Manchester City, Tottenham. How much of a big boost is that for Maddison returning for this Tottenham side?
Well, I think if he